We all want our kids to have a happy, healthy life, and it's our job as parents to teach them how to live a healthy life. Joining me now is a very special guest, my husband, Rich. He and I have been working out together for 1,000 years. We met in a gym, and we really do our best to try to help our kids to learn a healthy lifestyle. And so I just thought I'd bring him on to talk about some of the things that we do together and some ways you can instill healthy living into your children. So thank you, honey.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. So just tell us, like, you've been working out your whole life. How did you get inspired to work out? And how do you try to instill those habits in our kids?
Well, how I got started wanting to work out was just as a young kid, maybe 12 or 13, I started just interested in fitness. And there happened to be a gym up the street from where I live. So I fell into it. I actually think a camp counselor of mine worked out, and he got me interested because he was kind of a muscular cat. So that's probably how I got interested. But now if you're fast forwarding to us having kids and how to get them interested, I think, first of all, the earlier you start, the better, I think, but it's never too late to start. So if you can get started early, do it, because it'll probably build more of a lifestyle. But if it's later on and your kids are 20 and 30, it's never too late to start being active with them. And it's always going to be rewarding.
We have a daughter who was 19 and a son who was 21. And from the time they were little kids, we had them doing some sort of movement, fitness, whether it's walking. And then we got them into some weight training because we have a full gym in our basement. And that's really your thing. That's your forte. So what do you think it was? Do you think it was just them seeing us do it?
Well, I think if I tell a funny story, I remember when my son was born, he was probably a couple months old, and he'd be laying in the crib, and I'd be pressing his head down and making him try to resist it to bring it back up.
I
and then
remember
I'd
that.
press it back down. And my wife would be you'd be looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, I'm working his neck. Why let him just lay there like a little fish? Let's start working his neck. So I remember even doing that. And then I'd make him wheelbarrow. So he'd be laying on the floor, minding his own business. And I'd pick up his feet. So, he'd kind of press himself up, and then I'd start to push him. So he had to.
It was working him out of
So I figured start doing it that way. And then I remember taking him, the hill behind our house, taking him back there, and then, making him run up the hill. And, you always try to make it fun and something interested to do. But because I was interested in movement, I wanted him to be interested in movement. And I think then the same thing with Alana, with our daughter, we started having her do activities, and it kind of just builds from there. But once you see they're receptive to it, and if you can make it fun and interesting, that's the key. Then they'll come back for more. If you're too heavy-handed and you make it a drudgery, it's just like an adult. If you ask them to exercise and you make it heavy-handed and a drudgery, who the hell wants
Well,
to
we were lucky because they both took to weight training, probably Luke a little bit more than Alana, although she does it. But we do family walks. We really try to instill that. But we also got them involved in some sports, and that doesn't always work out. You might want your kid to be a baseball player. If they don't like baseball, they're not playing baseball. I mean, that's just kind of.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. I mean, as far as sports or activities, you expose them, give them a wide range of things to choose from, let them try different things. I think the only rule we had is if they start a season, they can't quit, but they never have to do it again.
Yeah.
So, if you started football and you didn't like it, you couldn't quit the season, but once you were done, you didn't have to go out again. And that's how they find kind of their niche. I mean, Luke did that. Our son played a bunch of different sports, and then he fell in love with rugby, and that was it. That's what
couldn't be tennis, something. No hitting. I know.
But Alana really wasn't into like team sports. She tried it. She tried the softball and things, but she didn't quit. She tried the season, and she didn't have to go out again. But we find with her, like, she likes activity. Family walks are key. I think the one thing you have to realize is almost anything is better than nothing. So you go for a family walk, that's great.
Yes.
Go for a family jog, terrific. Have a catcher, throw a football, do whatever. Just get out and move, and you'll find it. You'll spend time together.
And I think showing them that you're active and that it's an important element in your own life really translate, because you can't tell a kid not to smoke if you have a cigarette hanging out of your mouth, or, eat healthy when you're eating a cheesesteak every day. I mean, I think they see a lot of what we do. We tell them, but we also show them. And that's been, and how we eat, I think, is important as well.
Well, it's good for, I think anybody can do that, even if somebody's not really into fitness that much themselves or exercise or
Hmm.
activity. You know what? When you see your kid respond and you try something, then you're going to do it a little more. So everybody benefits. You know,
Hmm.
if you want your children to be active and healthy, you'll push yourself to get a little more active. And guess what? You'll start to feel better, maybe a little more energetic. Now the whole family is starting to roll. So it's
Yes.
really, there's not a lot of downside to it.
No, that's true. But we were very lucky that we're able to get them in our basement gym, and we work out sometimes together, all four of us, which I got to tell you, really warms my heart. I don't know if I say that a whole lot all the time, but it really makes me feel happy when our kids are working out and we're all together, say on a Sunday morning, and everybody's exercising together. It's great. I look around and I think this is so good for all of us to
You
be
like
doing
that? They
this.
just get in my way. Push 'em out. No, it's a lot. It's rewarding, and it's fun to see them do stuff that you like to do and get involved in it, and then push themselves and start to get some results, and it just kind of builds on itself. I
Yeah.
think the one thing you have to realize is, just like in an adult's fitness program activity, not every session's got to be a world beater. You know, you
Hmm.
don't have to crush it every time. Just be active. You know, break a sweat. You know, have some fun, and that kind of builds on itself.
And not every kid is going to take to everything. And so I guess what we've always tried to do is just move your body, find a way to move your body in some way. I mean, as we said, they're not all going to maybe want to do the sport. I'm a tennis player. Neither of my kids play tennis. I would have loved if they played, but they didn't like it. And I couldn't push them to play because that I didn't want to make them hate it. You want them to somewhat enjoy what they're doing.
Sure.
Just like you said, like with an adult as well.
I totally agree. It's like activity and doing something is money in the bank. You know, sometimes you make a small deposit, sometimes you make a big deposit, but doing something 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe then you have a 2 hour hike. I mean, we've gone on vacations and taken the hikes, and it's some of the most fun you have because you're together, you're chatting, and you're moving, you're getting some
You make
activity.
it a
So,
family. Some people
yeah.
bicycle. We don't really live in an area that's great for bicycling, but a lot of families I see go on family bike rides. Whatever it is, just move your body. It doesn't have to be, like you said, the greatest workout of all time, but and also show them yourself that you care about them and about being fit. And it's an important element in your life. And we also do things like wear our sunscreen and put hats on and try not to get too much sun and just, get our checkups. We try to live a healthy lifestyle and instill it in them so that they will try to follow our lead as they get older.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think activity can be tied into even family vacations or I mean, you want a good exercise session? Take your kids to the zoo if they're younger and have them walk around a zoo. I mean,
Yeah.
that's 2 hours, 3 hours of just walking on your feet, chatting, that's something to do. Or, even if you go to a museum and you're walking the floors and doing,
Yeah.
so there's always a way to get activity and fun. It
Yeah.
doesn't always have to be like a formal workout,
Sure.
everybody in workout gear and whistles blowing, just be active.
Yeah, you kind of almost have to sneak it in, just like, well, adults too, because there are people that like going on a treadmill would just like absolutely just no, they wouldn't do it. But they might go out for a walk on the beach
For
or
sure.
walk on, in the woods because that is something they might enjoy more. So it's sort of like you just got to kind of find it. And we push them a little bit, especially our daughter. She doesn't always want to do it, but she gets it. She'll go down the basement even on her own and get on the elliptical or the treadmill and do a workout because she gets it. She knows it's important.
And she sees benefit. Like we
Yeah.
teach, she'll do some lifting. It's like, put up the gun. Let's see what you're rocking.
And she's got some, she gets a little muscle.
She sees results. It's, I got a dumb saying I've been saying since I'm a kid, but it can't not work. You exercise, it can't not work. So I scream that at them all the time, but that's the truth. If you do something, it's going to help. It's going to work, and
That
you're going to
is
see
true.
some results if you have some consistency. So
that is your claim to fame. It can't not work.
Improper English, but it gets the point across.
It gets the point across.
Yeah, well, I was a dumb
Absolutely.
kid when I
No, that is not true. That is not true. And Rich has a degree actually in exercise physiology. So he has a real background on this and also reads so much. We go to bed at night, he's on his iPad and he's reading about nutrition, fitness, working out, all kinds of different stuff. I mean, you really are an expert in it. You've done it for how many years? You started when you were what, 15? And
Probably
you're
13, but
61 now?
yeah, I'm old. But as far as an
13.
expert, I don't
Yeah,
know. But
you
if
are.
you're interested in something and you read about it, really expert. It's taking other people's ideas and kind of seeing what worked for me and what didn't. But if you're interested in it, so many people have things to offer. You don't have to take it all, but you can take a little bit from each person. You try it, you see if it works for you. Maybe it works for somebody else, but it's always something new to try. So it's a real interesting field.
Yes. And I'm so thankful that we have it in common. It is nice when a couple or a family is interested in and I hate to even say exercise. Nobody likes that word. Movement, physical activity. Since we did meet in a gym, we both were interested in that. And so that made something like a common ground for us, which really throughout our lives has been, a thread, something that we've always done, even when we didn't have a basement gym.
Yeah, I haven't been in this situation, so I'm lucky. But if it's a spouse to spouse and one is interested in movement and the other one isn't, or if it's, you have kids and they're not interested, ease them into it. Try to find a way, try to find some common ground that everybody can do. But, we've been lucky that way, I have to say.
Yeah, we definitely have. So what would be your parting words for parents that are trying to get their kids involved in more fitness and eating more nutritiously? What would you say?
Just start. It doesn't have to be a perfect plan. You don't have to map things out. I mean, if you're that type of person and you can come up with things like that, great. But if you're not, don't feel you know a lot about it, just start. Start with walks. Everybody knows that, proper nutrition. Everybody has a good idea, fresh stuff versus canned. Frozen vegetables are good, better than just carbohydrates or stuffing or things like that. I mean, everybody has a decent idea of what to eat that's going to be good, and you're just a little bit conscious of it. Cut down the sugar a little bit for kids. Try to promote fruits,
Mhm.
starting with that instead of crunchy pebbles or whatever the
Yeah,
little
you don't, and you don't
cereal is.
need to buy all the sweets. I mean, that should be a special treat when you go out. That's one thing that I like ice cream. So I just don't buy ice cream because I don't want it in my house all the time. You could take it or leave it. He's not a sweets guy, but I don't want that kind of temptation. And we don't ever buy, like, cakes or cookies or things like that in the house for the kids. We just
Yeah,
don't. It's
I
just
think
not
that's
a
true. I
part of
mean,
our lives.
I remember when I grew up, we never had soda in the house. My mom just wouldn't buy it. So it wasn't anything I even got a taste for. And it's not anything I even miss. That was just
And we
one
don't have
example.
soda in our house now, and I
No,
don't drink
no.
it. Our kids don't drink it. It's just not something we do.
Yeah.
We
But,
drink water when
our
we go
daughter
out.
has a sweet tooth.
Yeah, she
But I
does.
mean, even her, we talk about limiting it. You can't say don't ever have it, but we try to get her to limit it a little bit,
Yeah,
and that's what it is. Start
yeah.
exercising judgment with nutrition, and start exercising. Period. Start with walks. Start with things like that, and it can build on itself. And if everybody's interested, you can make it more and more of a plan. And if not, even just doing that is something, And it's togetherness. I think the other good thing is it's like a family meal, a family walk. You get a chance to chat. You get a
Hmm.
chance to talk about things, the day, you can do it after dinner, depending on the weather and the light around our area.
Hmm.
You can do it in the morning.
That's true.
It's worthwhile to make the effort. Weekends, there's always
Make it a
opportunity to do it.
priority because when you give the gift of health, a healthy lifestyle to your children, you're giving them a gift for life. It's not just something you're giving them when they're young, but if they learn it at a young age, the hope is that they take that with them and they carry that through their entire life, realizing how important it is, and hopefully they pass it along to their kids,
Good point.
which would be our grandchildren if we ever have them. So thank you, honey.
Oh,
I
well, thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining again on Living Well with Robin Stoloff and Rich Stoloff this time. Hope to see you again next time. Until then, please stay safe and keep living well. And it can't not work.
She's pretty cute.